Challenge referee up in the booth. 2 timeouts and 2 challenges per team. Challenges can be for a ball in and out, foot fault on the service line, foot fault on the 3-meter line, foot fault on the center line, touch on the net, touch off the block, and ball into the antenna. Now an introduction of the starting lineups. And we'll see who comes out for Russia. It looks like their regular starting lineup. I just wondered if Goncharova would play a lot today, given the work she's already done.
This is such an important part of the team. Unless there's something really wrong with her, you'd expect her to come out and play.
Well, the starting lineups for Russia, they qualified for this final with a record of 5-4 during the preliminary round. And it will be number 1, Yana Sherban, coming out first. Middle blocker Ekaterina Libushkina. And there is Natalia Goncharova, again with 101 points, 85 kills, 14 blocks, and 2 aces. Orlova will be 1 middle blocker. The setter will be Ekaterina Kasanyenko. And the libero will be one of the very best. It's going to be very tough to see who the best libero is in this tournament. Anna Malova has been really superb, and the head coach is Yuri Medichev. Russia started this tournament with a 3-0 victory over Italy. They also beat Brazil. Then they lost back-to-back matches to the United States 3-1 and to China 3-0. Japan has yet to win a match. They lost to the United States, to China, Brazil 3-0, and then in a marathon last night, here's Japan's starting lineup. They lost to Italy 3-2, 24-22 in the final set. Maya Yamaguchi, Miyasato, Mami Ushiseto, Suari Sakoda, number 16, the teenager, will be out there as well, along with Haruka Miyashita. So the young setter play is getting the start once again for Japan. She will be wearing number 19, and Masayushi Manabe in his 6th year as head coach for Japan. Former setter on the 1988 men's Olympic team will be the head coach, and we are set to go.
Well, the starting lineup for Japan at the beginning of the week were all on the bench, every single one of them, and yet today, come the last game, they're all on the court, and for most of them for a good reason, because they've been playing well when they've been given the opportunity. In particular, as you said, Paul, Miyashita has done an exceptional job when she's come on in that setting role for a youngster.
I really like her. A lot of people think around the Japanese program that she's the future. They play faster. They give themselves a lot more opportunities to score inside out when she is at the controls. All about a good pass, though, and Japan immediately gives up a quick point. Japan's got to be almost perfect in receive because they are so overmatched in virtually every team they play at the net.
One of the things that has come up during the course of this World Grand Prix in terms of how to beat Japan, because they can dig the ball so well, but don't get an opportunity here to add a rotation. And the one thing I think that Russia can do so well is their middles are great. They hit from high and they'll hit from in front of the setter, and Japan will find that really difficult to deal with today. Remember what Brazil did to Japan once they finally started to go to Jussiela and of course to Carroll? Brazil just ran right through Japan. That's going to be a net violation called against Japan, and just exactly the start that Japan did not need. They're really vulnerable as Japan to middle attacks. But as we saw last night against Italy, again 24-22 in the 5th set, and that wasn't the only deuce set. If you give Japan time to set their defense, Ushiseto with a service reception error here. If you give Japan time to set their defense, they're just going to dig so many balls, and a very slow start here for Japan, and an early, and I mean very early, timeout. Just looking at what you said today, there's no reason why she shouldn't have played that. She just didn't take a big enough step to her right, so she was unable to contain the ball. Playing it outside of her body line means she's weak, can't contain the ball, and really a cheap play. That's just a lack of thought, lack of discipline.
Russia's lineup has been pretty much exactly the same the last few matches. They haven't made any really big changes. They started off with Fedosova, number 14, through the middle, and number 18, Ilchenko, through the outside, but they've drifted to the bench and haven't come back.
There's another service winner, that ball outside the antenna. And to me, that's not a really good sign for Russia, because they're about to embark on the World Cup. 11 matches in 14 or 15 days. You have to have depth. You have to be able as a coach to say, you know what, today we can mix this half of this lineup with this half of the other lineup, and that's still plenty good enough to win, and you can rest some players.
Something that USA have done to great effect this week. Coach Kasparov has done a fantastic job of doing that and showing he's got at least 10 players all capable of playing in the way that he's moved the team around, made his double substitution, plus bringing Kelsey Robinson in as well.
Yep.
It's a team that is strong from 1 through to 11.
14 matches during the course of the preliminary round and into the playoffs here. 13 different lineups. And they won the tournament and only lost 1 match all the way along the way. Goncharova off the top of the block and down. As you might imagine, she is by far the leading scorer in the tournament. In terms of attacking, she is 85 of 179, 48% kills. Karsta Lowe, coming into today's action, was number 1 in terms of kill percentage, and she didn't do anything to slow that down as well. She was the leading scorer today. And Goncharova, that ball out of bounds up on the referee's stand, and Russia out to a 7-1 start.
Watch Goncharova here. She gets a couple of inches off the floor. She doesn't need to, really. She's over the top of the block already.
Well, Goncharova, to give you the statistics, 1m94, 6'4". And I don't know what Japan is seeing or not seeing. They have already given up 3 service winners to Russia, and we have sprinted. This was as fast to the first technical timeout as Usain Bolt could do it.
Well, one thing that Russia do very well, and we haven't given them the credit for, they work the rules to the limit. And one thing that when they're serving is they'll be screening with the 5 other players. So one thing that Japan are struggling with now is they're struggling to actually see where the ball is coming from. It's something that the other teams have complained about. It's within the rules. You aren't allowed to screen in terms of putting your hands up above the net when you're blocking, stood there, and that you have to have them down around by your head. But what the Russian team will do, they'll have 3 players stood in the front, slightly close together. They'll have 2 players stood directly behind them, filling the gaps, and then the server on the head of the triangle, serving from that position.
Well, we're going to shoot this serve from Russia from behind, so you'll see exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, a lot of the opposing coaches have complained that Russia is screening. As you said, legal to screen, but there are some limitations on what you can do. So watch Russia. They will try to line up right in front of Orlova, the middle blocker. Yeah, Japan just can't make it out. Oh, a ball hit out of bounds, and Japan is on the board once again.
And that's another good example, not so much the attack from Russia, but that end-on shot lets you see exactly what's happening. If you do get a chance to come and watch a game of volleyball and you're not sure where you want to sit, you're used to sitting in home and watching it and seeing the side-on view, sit on the end and watch the game. You see so much of the action develop and see how the movement, also see how the speed of the ball out wide and to the middles as well.
Boy, a little confusion there, but that ball slam dunked by Goncharova down inside the block of Japan, and the lead is 9-2.
Nice play, just putting it into the seam of the block.
And Goncharova sprays that one long, no touch on the block. First dig for Anamalova, and currently the leading digger in the tournament, 3.92 digs per set. Monica Di Gennaro of Italy. Tremendous play, tremendous volleyball player, really fun to watch. She is currently second in terms of digs. Where both teams passing very poorly. That ball killed off the left side by Yana Sherbon. 25 years of age, 1.85 m. Been a pretty solid contributor off the left side offensively, trying to bring some balance around Goncharova. Sakota over the top of the block, number 16. She's got a real future, Suarez Sakota. I shouldn't say future. She's had a pretty good past as well. 27 years of age, bronze medalist from the London Olympic Games. I was thinking of Serena Koga, the 19-year-old who we've seen in and out of the Japanese lineup. Kova into the cross court once again. And Russia might as well be hitting at a net where there is no block.
I think it's becoming obvious watching how Japan are playing today. It's nothing like they were yesterday. They are tired. They're not getting to the ball. Certainly as much as you would expect them to.
That ball never cleared. Maybe Pesinkova got a piece of that. And another timeout called by Japan. They seem to be really out of sorts, out of any kind of rhythm. Have you seen a Japanese team just shanking the ball around the court like this?
Not at all. This is a little bit like what China were like in their first game when they turned up with their new squad of players. But certainly not seen Japan like this in a long time.
So Russia came out, and there's the big screen in front that you can always see. And the Japanese, their receivers just are not able to look through the Great Wall of Russia. Middle blocker, Katerina Libushkina now back to serve. Back to Goncharova once again, and hammering that ball inside the block. What an impressive athlete. What kind of condition must she be in order to night in, night out? Again, I'm not in favor of this 5-match and 5-day format. I just think you're asking for trouble. You're asking for injuries, especially after these players have traveled all over the world.
And you're right there, she's in great shape. And the one thing she can do as well, Japan were heading back to the last third of court to play D. She can hit the last third just as easily as she can put it into the middle of the court. They don't really know where to stand right now against her.
She can hit the line, high seam, over the block, into the cross court. Almost as many areas as there are. The only place she's not hitting the ball is 2 or 3. Oh, that one right off the head of the Japanese defender. Nabea trying to recover a little bit here. Yuri Nabea got this one right in the head. Back to Japan once again. Russia got out to the quick 8-1 lead at the first technical timeout in complete control here, 14-6. Joust coming, and if you're 194, it's just not fair. Interesting, we've seen this screen before. Japan is by far the shortest team in the tournament, one of the shortest teams in the world, quite frankly, at least at the elite level. It might be even harder for these women to see through this Russian screen in front of their server, more so than some of the other teams. Back row combination off the block and out of bounds, number 16, Sawari Sakota once again.
The other thing that doesn't help Japan in this situation is they're one of the few teams that as soon as that ball is served, there's 4 players on the move around the passer. So there's a lot of traffic, so even more holes are being filled as they start to move. They're trying to put the ball in to the setter.
Good serve by Miyashita. Russia not receiving at all well, but they have that, which Japan does not. And that ball is blocked. Orlova, number 12, Ekaterina Orlova at 193, didn't even leave the floor. And now Japan trailing Russia 16-7 at the second technical timeout. We talked about Italy in the match earlier after playing that marathon against Japan. Struggled, tried to stay in it, and they finally just ran out of gas against Brazil. And it seems like Japan came to the arena this evening with their tanks already empty.
It's not even as if they've got fresh players on the bench to bring in, because everybody was involved during the game yesterday. Saori Kimura, who's their go-to player, is suffering with a shoulder injury, as you pointed out in the previous match, and so she's not able to help, and they're not going to risk her with the World Cup coming up in just under a month's time. So it's not looking great for Japan.
The match between Italy and Japan took 2 hours and 49 minutes. There were over 400 spiking attempts, and it went to deuce in 3 of the 5 sets, including the 5th that was won by Italy 24-22 on a challenge that was denied, as I recall. The award ceremony to follow. Obviously the trophy presentation, the most valuable player, but there will be best setter, best middle blocker, best outside hitter, best libero, etc., etc. That ball whiffed to the floor by Otake.
It's a nice little paycheck for some of the individual awards. $5,000 for those, and then $10,000 I think it is for the most valuable player.
Don't get me started on that, Clayton. The money's way too low, especially the prize money. $200,000 to the winner. In isolation may be one thing, but when you think about the fact that the Men's World League, exact same tournament, World League for men, Grand Prix for women, the prize money in the World League is $1 million. This is 2015, not 1915. So Koda reaching over the top of the block, no touch detected, and this first set is certainly gone. Japan fell behind 8-1 and just really looked out of sorts. I mean, out of sorts just in terms of things that they're really good at, like this. Receiving serve, running some offense, digging balls. Just nothing so far. And Goncharova, one of the rare times she's been stuffed so far in this tournament. And I do mean rare.
Nice pickup. And expecting Goncharova to put that one away. I don't think she expected Sakota to get up there and stop her.
I mean, if you will, even against the United States block, which is big, athletic, and the Americans' defense, Goncharova just had her way. Just put away one ball after another after another. Uzashita, who loves hitting wrist away down the line. And it seems like they're finding their rhythm a little bit.
And Malova was in a good position. Well, in fact, there's just a little extra movement she didn't need to make. Just got her slightly behind the block, unfortunately for her. Normally such a good defender.
So far, the best in the tournament. And that ball finding a defender in the backcourt. Otake couldn't get out of the way. Yana Sherban back to the line. Russia's got to find some real balance, otherwise the top teams in the world, like China, Brazil, the United States, guess you could put Serbia in there as well, when they're healthy and playing at the top of their game, will just absolutely load up against Goncharova. Well, here we go. Japan starting to get into it as far as digging. And finally, just too much strength. Through the block and down. When Japan beat Russia last year at the Grand Prix finals, Japan had more weapons. They were a much stronger team, but this is how they beat Russia. They made Russia take 4 or 5 swings and able to score a point.
Not only that, Japan with a very interesting style. Their defense is very much like men's volleyball. They're not afraid to dive, full stretch dive, swan dives, which you don't really see very often in the women's game. Normally it's a stretch and roll.
Miyasato with the dig. High up off the block and out of bounds, and another score for Russia. Russia playing some pretty good defense as well and handling the off-ball setting duties. Russia leading now 21-10. So Koda is roofed. Libushkina reaching into the cross court.
First time Sakoda's really wanged up for a swing. She was looking to put the ball away as opposed to what Sakoda and Uchiseta normally do, coming in there looking for block out. That time she was just looking to find the floor and she was put down. That's something that Russia will be very pleased to have to deal with as opposed to the block outs that Japan like to use.
Sakoda again is rejected. Miyasato was there, but the play was really quick, bang, bang, and now Russia leads at 23-10. Be sure and join us, the conversation on Twitter, hashtag at FIVB.com. What do you think about the United States victory? Brazil, China, the delegations they sent here, what the Olympics may look like, and before that, of course, what your thoughts are on the upcoming World Cup. Oh, what a good swing, but just out of bounds that time by the setter, Kosenyenko. Do you think this will be Russia's team at the World Cup? I think it will be, but do you think if they qualify, it'll be their team at the Olympics?
Good question. I think it'll be interesting to see whether Gamova actually makes another comeback. She has been asked to, she has been featuring, but not here for these finals. But she is probably past the point of her best, and just wonder whether she's been brought back just merely as a kind of a talismanic figure for the team to help them, because it is quite a young squad. But what they've got here, they've been pretty good. They could do with another player like Goncharova, just someone else who can help carry the load.
Another block. And quickly to a set win at 25-11. I think that was the most disparate set win that we've had so far in this tournament. Russia coming out, taking care of business and putting Japan down 25-11. You're watching the FIVB World Grand Prix. We will step aside for a moment. The teams will change sides and we'll be back with the second set. Last day of competition here in Omaha. They lost a set to Italy, and they lost a set to Russia, but other than that, they swept their other opponents. Japan, Brazil, and today China. So, changed its setter position. Chizuru Koto comes on. Japan in white. Russia in red. Russia playing for the silver medal. And that's going to be a net violation called against Japan.
Well, Japan claiming they hadn't touched the net, but no challenge coming. Koto's come in to replace Miyashita. Interesting to see whether or not that has any real effect.
Early free ball coming to Russia. Right over the top of the block by Yana Sherban. I wish Russia would use a match like this and an opportunity where they're going to get lots of free balls in the long rallies to develop the middle much more in transition. Russia can't beat the good teams if they're so predictably left side dominant. Left side and then Goncharova. They can't beat Brazil. They can't beat China, and they won't beat the United States.
Put down this time by the substitute Ishii. Ball over, up too high. She's not a defender really, she's a middle blocker, server, spiker, so she can be forgiven for missing that one.
You're nicer than I am. That was a really weak attempt. When you're on the court, you got to play your position. Good swing through the block by Japan, and they could certainly use some sort of momentum at the beginning of this second set after they fell behind 8-1 in the first. There was Yuri Medichev, the head coach for Russia. Or wasn't he into the match when they played the United States? Why not? That was the best match of the tournament. Oh, that is really a good swing. Japan looks as happy as they can possibly be. They got short memories because they absolutely got drilled in the opening set, but they had just moved on.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? That's exactly what Japan want to do. They want to soak up the pressure and come back at you. So the ball out wide gives them time to get set. So why aren't Russia going through the middle? Why aren't teams just saying, this is easy, let's just play easy. The simplest form of volleyball is often the easiest. There is absolutely no way that Japan would be able to stop Libushkina or all over through the middle on a simple A quick ball or a B quick ball around the setter, given a bit of space. And yet, I think they've done it once so far. This time Sherban gets it away, Proskop. Ball slightly inside to give her a better angle to put that one away. Japan not fronting up in the block, not taking away the power.
Good swing once again by Sherban, and Natalia Goncharova coming off the right back position, position number 1, and playing some good defense, getting down after that tip.
It's brilliant cover from her because it meant Sherban could start getting out wide then and being in a position to hit.
Perfect dig right to the 3-meter line. Options available, and that's a pretty good choice.
Great play from Russia, turning defense into offense.
And after a pretty good run, that serve from Goncharova will carry just long. Goncharova again with a nice dig. That ball set way too tight to the net. And Lyubushkina just taking advantage of a ball control error by Japan.
That was well watched by Lyubushkina. And she did very well as well, not to try and hit through the ball, just needed to get a wrap on the top of it so she didn't go through it and hit the net, stunning the ball down.
Remember, we'll have technical timeouts when a team reaches 8, and again when a team reaches 16. Service error there by Sherban. Russia has won the Olympic championship on 4 occasions. 7 times they've won the World Championship, the most recent in 2010, but 5th at the Olympics in 2012 and 5th at the last World Championships in Italy. So that is not exactly a good trend. Lyubushkina is stuffed by Saori Sakota.
Can go C-quick, can go anywhere else. You don't need to try and force the issue. Japan want Russia to do that.
Japan back within 1. Back to Lyubushkina, and just like that, quick attack, either on the slide or in front, is the way to go against the smaller Japanese team. Russia at the technical timeout on top of Japan, 8-7 here in the second set after winning the first, 25-11. At the technical timeout, I think a very interested observer. I don't think Karch is just killing time before the award ceremony. He knows that Russia is going to be one of his adversaries, one of the big matches that Team USA plays over at the Olympic qualification tournament in Japan. So congratulations to Karch, leading the United States to their first ever gold medal in world competition. The United States had won the silver medal at the Olympic Games 3 times. They had also won a bronze in 1992. They had won silver at the World Cup, but never a world title until the United States beat China in the World Championships in Milan back in October. That was a great celebration. That was really fun.
He started a bit of a viral trend, didn't he? Karching.
Yeah. That was good. He was more emotional at that win than I've ever seen him. That includes the win in 84, the win in 88, and the win in 96.
I guess I can understand that to a degree. As a player, you get there, you get the job done, but he's had to organise and orchestrate that and sit on the sidelines and watch it all happen without being able to control it, and then that release of emotion when the job's done and everyone's done, achieved what they needed to achieve. It must be something special.
Yep. It was really special to see. Most emotional I've ever seen him. Service error here by Sakota, and that breaks the tie with Russia back on top 9-8. Russia needs to stay sharp here because Japan will just play every point as hard as they can. And Japan is finding some passing rhythm. Quick kill here, and they're getting some good offensive work done now that they've changed setters. Not that it was all about Miyashita before. Shizuru Koto coming on and getting a quick kill. Mai Yamaguchi coming in now. Certainly the veteran of this team at 32. Right over the top of the block. Here's a question for you. Number 12, Ekaterina Orlova. How many balls has she hit in the entire tournament? She's played almost every point in the middle for Russia.
Well, generally as a middle player, you do an awful lot of work going up and down, but generally don't touch the ball a great deal. So I'm going to say not as many as she probably would have liked.
I have no idea, but I'll bet you it's under 10. I'll bet you that she has not gotten 10 sets the entire tournament. Why would any blocker or any defense pay any attention to her?
It's that, I guess it's just that hope from the point of view of Orlova. She's going in and with the full intention she expects to get the ball, and that's what drives the other middle to have to go with her, because they can't read for sure. They don't know quite what's going to happen. They don't want to risk it, but the more it goes on in the match, the more they're going to be less interested.
Good dig again by Japan. Can they turn it into some offense? Good location on the set to the outside. Off the net, good swinging room. Just been handed a note that Ekaterina Orlova has 3 kills in the tournament. That is stunning. That is just absolutely stunning to me that a middle blocker for Russia through 4+ matches has got 3 kills. You can't play that way. You just can't do it.
Well, it takes a special kind of player, really, doesn't it, to play middle. I think you've got to have a certain mentality, that whole, you're not really going to see much of the ball, but when you do, you'll be expected to put it away. And I say 3 kills in the tournament, but at least every time she's had a swing, she's put it on the floor. So it's a specialist position. You've got to come in there. Most of the time, you're kind of thinking about your blocking duties and then running your routes to try and free up the other players. And then you don't really see much of the ball in defense from the backcourt because you go off once your serving runs over.
Good dig by Orlova once again. And off the block, but not down yet. Nabea with a dig. And into the net. Yeah, I just think you can't play. You've got a setter out there and you've got a libero. You can't play 4-on-5. You can't just have somebody who is a total zero offensively. Ball set a little bit tight into the top of the hands. Checked down that time by Soto. Better set with some swinging room off the net. And Yana Sherban over the top. Russia starting to pull away, now leading 14-9. And a timeout is called by Japan.
Well, Russia are comfortable. Their style is to put the ball out wide. Historically, they like to play a high, slow ball. They started to speed that up a bit, but they've got that height out wide. And so as a result of that, they're quite happy to keep doing it here instead of overloading the middle at the moment. It's almost like it's habit.
Natalia Goncharova already having another big match. Looking at her numbers, she has 11 kills. Japan as a team has 12. Hasinkova back to serve, and that was a foot fault. The linesman missed that call, didn't he?
It certainly looked from our angle like she'd stepped on the line. It's a bit like the long jump or the triple jump. You have to stay behind the board, behind the white line.
I mean, Japan got the point anyway, but the linesman's got to pay attention to that. I thought clearly it was a foot fault. Oh, there it is. Kill number 4. Somebody alert the media.
But not only that, get another look at that shot. She goes up middle. She's head and shoulders above the net. That's incredible. She's having a really good look. Look at the height she gets. Contact point. That's unstoppable. And every ball should be going.
And it looked like she knew what she was doing. It's not like she just can't swing at the ball. Snap down the line by Ishii. Yuki Ishii, 24 years of age, 1'8", 5'11".
To be fair to Kostelenko, as we have another look at this, as Ishii wraps that one down, she's really not risking going to the middle because perhaps she doesn't feel the ball's good enough for her to do so. She's not one of these players in that position, for example, who try and force that into the net to
Right.
She plays very safe.
Coming to the second technical timeout, another kill by Natalia Goncharova, and Russia now leading comfortably 16-11 and pulling away from Japan here in the second. Natalia Goncharova will be the leading scorer in this tournament. And she's got to be voted the best spiker as well. So she's in for a couple of awards if you stick around for the ceremony, which is to follow.
Very solid, very clever player. It's not a huge leap from her. She's not a great big arm action either. She's got a decent little natural spring and always takes it at the top of her jump. And very difficult to know whether she's going line or cross court. And even when the roll's coming, her technique is really good, that she's able to put very good disguises on what she's doing.
Wears her married name on the back of her shirt, Obomchev. Her husband is one of the liberos on the Russian men's team, a team that really made headlines this summer because they were so awful. The reigning Olympic champions were 1 and 12, excuse me, 1 and 11 in the preliminary round of the World League. So a lot of question marks going forward. Their coach has resigned, slashed, of course, he was fired. And Vladimir Alekno will return. Of course, he led them to that Olympic championship. Good swing. Good high swing that time by Sherbon, high up into the block.
A very weak block from China, just trying to go for height because they know they have to, which means they can't press, so they're not very strong from the shoulders.
Good block here once again. Libushkina with some help on the outside from the setter, Ekaterina Kostenyenko.
Plenty of confidence from Kostenyenko, because he was already off and turned after this one was touched. Convinced no one was going to get it.
18-12. Surprised that Goncharova didn't take a swing at that. That was a pretty good set. Touch on the block. Nevaeh will get the kill. Japan will get the point. Not out of time yet, but Japan has somehow got to find a way to turn digs, which they do all the time. Let's take a look at the dig numbers. Japan out digging. No, right now it's Russia out digging Japan. Excuse me, 25-17. Libushkina with another kill, going behind on the slide.
Sums up really how Japan are playing if they're being outdone by the opposition.
Well, Japan's block is so bad that if when they're playing against a team that's elite, they just don't get many opportunities. Against Italy not nearly the firepower of Russia, the United States, Brazil, China. So they can hang, and obviously they did for a long time. A serve. That one dropped right off the table. Sari Sakota has got some pop. I like Sakota as a player, and if you think Sari Kimura, again, as you pointed out, not going to risk her health at this particular tournament, nursing a sore shoulder. She's only come on to serve in this tournament. But Sakota, along with Kimura and Japan, is a completely different team at home. So I would think that they might finish just off the middle of the pack at the World Cup. But they'll still have a couple of chances after that at the Asian Championships, and then the final world qualification to get into the Olympic tournament after winning the bronze medal in 2012. Just in Rio last week, Maracanãzinho, which will be the home for the indoor volleyball competition, beautiful facility, opened a long time ago but completely remodeled in 2003 and reopened in 2004. Off the top of the block again by Sherbon. Let's look at her numbers. 8 kills on 14 swings with no errors, hitting almost 550.
Can't contain that, especially that's a really good matchup as well as far as Russia are concerned, because of putting the ball over the smallest blocker that Japan have. it's a complete mismatch.
That's a net violation on Malova. Left by herself out of the middle. Still a comfortable lead for Russia, 1-0 and 20-15. So Kimura, as mentioned, will come on. What a swing over the top of the block and a magnificent dig by Sakota. But all of that wiped away. You heard the whistle by a net violation. Yamaguchi comes right back in. That's all the action that Swati Kimura is getting. Just a couple of chances at the service line. They're really being careful with her shoulder.
Well, there's so much at stake for them. As the bigger picture is qualifying for the Olympic Games as well as doing well at home in Japan. The World Cup.
Look at Malova again, diving into the cross court, pressing Kova out of the back row. A magnificent dig by the libero for Russia. There's the role you were talking about, a little more traditional in women's volleyball. And that looked like it was carrying long, saved by Malova. Down the line, Malova again. Back row combination and missed out of bounds. No touch detected. This might be a challenge by Japan. If nothing else, a substitution for a timeout that Masayuki Manabe is not going to call for a challenge. Have we had a challenge in this match yet? I don't remember.
No, I think, well, not one of note anyway. Certainly not anything that's been controversial.
One that hasn't been forgettable. Because if they had one, we've forgotten it. Free ball coming. And that's to the floor. Trust me, there are 5 times as many challenges in the men's game as in the women's game. The men today are so big and so strong and hit the ball so hard. There are so many touches off the block that are just imperceptible. So join the conversation once again at #FIVB. Grand Prix, good high flat swing. I know Yana Sherban is not hitting against the United States or Brazil or China, but she's in really good rhythm. She is making some superb swings on the perimeter.
She's enjoying what she's doing. And it's good to see you've got someone coming up, hitting the ball, getting enjoyment from that, and then you look at Anna Malova, who is keeping the ball off the floor, getting just as much enjoyment and having just as much impact on the team than what she's doing, to allow the ball to get put down on the floor by other players.
That ball just off the block of Libushkina and out of bounds. How great was the inclusion of the libero into the rules of volleyball?
That's one of the best things they've done in terms of the evolution of the game.
Absolutely. Yuki Ishii on to serve. Another set point for Russia. The last match of the 23rd edition of the World Grand Prix. Won by the United States. Russia battling with Brazil. Will it be silver or bronze? They will be tied in the one-loss column. They'll also be tied in terms of match points, so it will come down to sets ratio, and if it's still tied there, it will be points ratio. For the set, off the defense that time, and another kill by Natalia Goncharova. Teams will change sides. We'll take a quick break. And Russia looking to close this match out. 3-0. They won the first 25-15, 25-11. They won the second 25-19. They have outscored Japan 50-30 through 2 sets.
3-2. But if Russia wins this set, they'll have a better sets ratio at 10-7 versus 9-8, and Russia will win the silver medal. And kill number 1. You don't want to trust my math though, so somebody better double check that. But I can add single digits. So Russia, if they sweep Japan, will win the silver. That's the first. That's not the first tiebreaker. The first tiebreaker is match points. The second tiebreaker is sets ratio. The last tiebreaker is points ratio. Oh, Malova. That ball might have been out of bounds. She's certainly a candidate for the outstanding libero in the tournament.
Good hustle from Japan. They didn't give up on that one. And actually managing to engineer a one-on-one in transition. That's really good.
Somebody asked me on Twitter who I thought the best setter in the tournament was. Who gets your vote?
I've been impressed with plenty of them. I like the way that Miyashita's done when she's come in. I like what Ding Xia has done when she's played. But I must say, I thought Molly Kreklow's been excellent and probably edges it for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think that you look at the efficiency of the American offense, and she's just been solid, just been absolutely solid. And the balance of the United States team. I mean, you look down the box score after they beat China earlier today 3-0, and it's 8 kills, 9 kills, 7 kills, 12 kills. Yes, the opposite had more in Karstalo with 15, but every player is involved in contributing. It makes it very tough to defend against the United States because you just have no idea who's getting the ball. Unlike Russia, who sets the ball to Natalia Goncharova about 55–60% of the time. Somehow that ball kept alive by Russia. Lyubushkina, and with that little pokey over the top, draws Japan into an unforced error into the net.
Some of you watching the serve may have noticed that I hadn't actually spotted it before. So just have a look at this, the net fault from Japan. But interestingly, when all over the serve, she puts a little spin on the ball. The ball's spinning in the air when she hits it. Most players will just put the ball up flat.
Well, especially if you're trying to serve a knuckleball, a ball with no spin. Good touch by Lyubushkina in the middle. And tipped from the 11th floor over the mezzanine straight to the middle of the court.
It did come down from a long way. Sato just a little late to react to it.
Goncharova now with 19 kills on 28 swings, hitting almost 600. Be sure and stay with us. The award ceremony to follow. It looks like it will be. Well, we know it'll be the United States with the gold medal. It looks like it will be Russia with the silver and Brazil with the bronze. Off the block and down once again by Goncharova. Excellent deep serve. Nabea off the block, covered by Koto, but the ball hits the floor. Yeah, and that's going to be an early timeout. Quickly, Russia's dominance continues with a 6-2 advantage.
Just a lack of communication from Japan on that last point. Sato's working hard, but she's now over on the baseline. So someone else now needs to be covering when the ball comes around, and everyone was waiting for it to come running back in and play it again.
I'm a little surprised that Japan has fallen so far so fast.
From where they were at the Olympic Games, yes, I agree. It's quite a plummet.
I mean, I just don't see them beating any of the good teams. They beat Korea, a thrilling bronze medal match and a huge victory, but that was the first Olympic medal they had won in 28 years. Good save out of the net that time by Kisanyenko, but could not be followed up. So Japan will go back to serve. Ishii with Russia already with a 3-point advantage. Still very early in the third set. Russia won the opening set 25-11, the second 25-19. That is just such a good swing, and an even better dig in the cross court by Kodo. Not once, but twice. And just too many weapons, and Yana Sherban continues to have her. Forget about who the opponent is. Yana Sherban looks like a really good outside attacker here.
This is becoming a really solid asset for Russia. The difference looking at this game, looking at Russia against Japan, is to the game we saw where Italy were going against Japan and Japan were making dig after dig. There's real weight in the hitting of Russia. That wasn't there. It wasn't really in evidence for Italy, which allowed Japan to make more pickups.
Sherban again off the block because of the excellent dig by the woman who I think should be chosen as the best libero in the tournament, Anna Malova. They're wearing number 19 in the off-color jersey for Russia. Technical timeout, Russia leading 8-3. Yana Sherban with 11 kills on 22 swings. In terms of efficiency, hitting .455. Really good technique. See the arm swing?
Very nice. Always linked into the ball as well. Drives through, gets the hips up, shoulders slightly back, able then to come in and unload on the ball.
And every swing, you look at arms, every swing looked exactly the same. Very impressive. You can just tell when somebody's having a good match. You know, in rhythm with the ball, and good to watch, good to see. In double figures, as mentioned already, so Russia coming back out. And they're going to make quick work of Japan in this ultimate match at this year's World Grand Prix. Koga stuffed on the outside. Serena Koga, the teenager. I think Koga needs to be in the starting lineup along with Sawari Sakota and then Sawari Kimura. But still, there's just no size at the middle blocking position. Brazil just absolutely shredded Japan. And that ball off the block and out of bounds. Koga blocked once and then comes back to score.
And that's all down to the setting of Koga. The first time when the block came in, the ball was never making it outside. So there was nothing for Koga to go off and use that ball into the block. This time it's a little bit wider, it's traveling, she can use it and make the block her best friend.
Oh, shank pass here, and nobody's going to pursue. Lazy looking play there for Russia, and that happens sometimes when you've absolutely dominated an opponent and still on top here. That ball looked like it was carrying out of bounds. Pesenkova with a bad pass. Good dig by Goncharova. And a good eye also by Goncharova, off the block and out of bounds. Another kill for Sherban.
Well, Japan were trying to give Russia a taste of their own medicine. They're actually serving over a screen themselves. But Russia holding firm and getting the side out eventually.
Oh, tough serve down for the ace. A little unlucky for Japan. Timeout called by Japan, trailing now 11-5 in the third. Sherban back to serve. Don't forget the award ceremony still to come. The presentation of the championship trophy to the United States, the gold, silver, and bronze medals, and also a number of individual awards. The most valuable player, leading scorer. I'll have to go through the list. They change it from time to time. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. Number 1 best outside hitter, number 2 best outside hitter, number 1 middle blocker, number 2 middle blocker, the libero, the best setter, the opposite spiker, and the most valuable player. Okay. Through the block and down. This is Pasinyenko. Alexandra Pasinkova, excuse me. I haven't called her name very often so far in this contest.
Good use of the block, good use of Kota's arm.
Koga shredding the block this time. Kosenyenko is the setter for Russia. You know, just because you're not, 194 doesn't mean you get away with being a bad blocker. She's got to really improve on her technique. Whatever you've got, whatever you're able to get above the net, you better get over the net. That changed direction off the inside hand of Mai Yamaguchi. So another kill off the left side for Russia.
And something that Japan struggle with because they are up against a team that are hitting at such a high point. They're trying to get their hands up to that point and they can't get over the net sufficiently to make any blocks unless Russia decide to hit really steep.
Pasinkova with a stuff block here, and now this one is like the previous 2 sets getting away.
Good example of a player just going straight across the net, getting as close to the ball as possible.
Back row combination. Good pop that time by number 8 Koga. Just graduated from high school. So she is part of what the Japanese will be a little bit of a rebuilding insurgence, along with Haruka Miyashita, the setter number 19. Not in the match now, but she started, played well yesterday. Shwari Kimura on once again. Good dig, but out of bounds. A center line violation called against Russia. Huh. Called against the setter, Kosenyenko. She was changing direction, violated the center line with her foot.
Has done that a couple of times in the tournament already. Common, actually, for setters to do that.
Back row again to Koga. Nicely dug that time by Sherban and into the cross court. And that's going to be a net violation here against Japan. Substitution. Kimura going right back to the sideline. One of the most popular athletes in all of Japan. Been on the national team for a long time. Has already played in 3 Olympic Games. And she's not that old, only 28 years of age. She should be right in the prime of her career.
Really like the hitting action. Sakoda and Koga, very similar. Hand comes almost from behind the head, and then it's a really quick snap into the ball.
1 point away from the second technical timeout, and there it is. Ball served out of bounds. Teams will go to the sideline with Russia comfortably leading 16-10 here in the third, looking for the 3-set sweep, which would assure them of the silver medal. There's the United States team. As mentioned, the award ceremony still to come. Brazil behind. Good tournament for this young Brazilian team, playing without most of their stars. with no starters, actually. And I thought that they acquitted themselves very, very nicely. Karchkirai over on the right. Krista Dietzen, Faluk Akinradowo, Jordan Larson Dietzen, Kelsey Robinson, Tamami Ashura, Kim Hill up at the top of your left screen. Didn't even play in today's final match, and she's the most valuable player from the World Championships. Played in Italy last year, but a club team in Turkey wanted her services so much they paid a transfer fee to get her out of Italy and get her over to Turkey. I never had that happen. Katerina Orlova now back to serve. Just a little more work to do for Russia. And even less yet. Good block that time by Libushkina. And it is 17-10.
It'd be so easy for a team to switch off when you get in this position. And yet, credit to Russia. Both sets so far, they've gone up, they've stayed up, they've stayed disciplined, and they're doing it again here.
Combination play. Ishii is slowed. Back to Ishii. Oh, and slicing and dicing down the line. Thought that was not a particularly smart set, but Russia slow to react defensively.
No libero on the court at the time. I think if Malova had been on, it would have been a different story.
That's a good point. Malova's my award winner for best libero. And in spite of the fact that Natalia Goncharova just got blocked, she'll be the leading scorer. I don't think she'll be the most valuable player. I think that'll be somebody from the winning team, the United States. But she will certainly be the best opposite. No question about that. Although Karstalo giving her a pretty good battle. Just the numbers. I mean, the volume of work that Goncharova does is just, first of all, it's too much. But also the volume is just incredible.
She carries a huge load for the team.
And that ball is blocked and can't be continued on. Good block by Russia. 18-12 is the advantage.
So blocking. Talking of Castello, I think for my money she'd be a very good candidate for the MVP for this tournament, the way she's played. Good all-round package, good blocking, good hitting, good defending as well.
You know, we were talking about the best setter. Karchkirai, the head coach of the United States, played so many different lineups. Kelly Murphy was in for a while. Karstalo was in. So I'm thinking about just, you know, time on the court. Molly Kreklo might be the MVP. Libushkina. Why not set that more? Wow. She just exploded on that ball.
Well, that's the beauty of the slide behind. You can either go on this play, you can come in short, you can move it around, but it's all about where you get in relation to the ball when it sets you. If you're in rhythm with it, it's right there in front of you, in between your shoulders. You can hit it anywhere, and you can hit it hard.
Wow, that is really impressive. Serena Koga really got pop on the ball. Just 19 years of age, and as I mentioned, just got her high school diploma.
And Russia's block had taken too much line away. No one stopping the cross court. And in that situation at this level, you're going to take it.
And again, beautifully dug by Japan. And again, but out of bounds. And a really good read by Anna Malova. You got to know where you are on the court. And she knew that off that final dig, it was just going to be a little bit wide.
That's a great swing. Goncharova could have easily gone down to position 5, but able still to cut it with just the same amount of heat down to position 1.
A rare miss off the left side, this by Alexandra Pasinkova. I really like this kid. I like this kid Koga a lot. I'd like her a lot more if she were about 4 or 5 inches taller, but that's not going to change. And that ball just missed out of bounds by Ishii. Looking for some hands there, and now Russia just 4 points away from the silver medal. This is a round-robin tournament, so there's not really a final, if you will. 6 teams advance into this competition, and they all play one another 3 matches a day, 15 in all. Ishii ripping down the line.
Great technique. To be able to hit that line hard like that, you've got to keep your left side up, opening up the cross court, then hitting over your shoulder. So easy to drop your left arm and then end up over-rotating to hit the ball out. You can see that doesn't happen. Great swing from Ishii.
I just wonder what's the strongest lineup for Japan. I watched this team now play 5 matches, some during the preliminary round, and it's just hard for me to tell because you look at Ishii, there's some heat there. Koga, Suwari Sakota. Okay, we haven't seen Kimura at all. So Japan has got some possibilities.
I'm not sure even if the head coach Manabe knows fully yet who his best 6 is.
Well, he better find out before August 22nd when the World Cup starts. Ishii again, that's a nice looking swing.
It's the speed, so difficult. They don't hit the ball with any weight, but at the speed of the attack. Blink and you've missed it.
It's almost that Japan could play faster because they can't play slowly. They don't have the big guns to battle it out high above the net. Russia 3 points away. Oh, that ball's got to come up. Good smart shot by Yuki Ishii into the block, trying to restart the point. And for the final time, want to remind you to give us your last thoughts on this year's Grand Prix. Hashtag FIVB Grand Prix. Award ceremony still to come. Pretty good second effort that time. Alexandra Pasinkova was all over the first ball, but taken away by Kostenyenko. It's a helpless feeling. It's like you're in quicksand. Here I go. Oh, I can't. Oh, I fell down and I can't get up. Miss serve there. I finally got a good laugh out of you. I've fallen down and I can't get up. Match points now for Russia. And Lyubushkina with a kill. And Russia takes out Japan 3-0. They win the third 25-18. So Japan absolutely no match for Russia. Russia will take home the silver. Russia wins it 25-11, 25-19, and 25-18. Russia outscores Japan 75-48. 75-48.
Really professional performance from Russia. They went out, they stepped their stall out early, they stuck to it, they didn't get drawn into anything, they didn't switch off, and in the end, just no match at all. Far too good for Japan.
So Russia finishes with a record of 3-2, but their sets differential good enough to break the tie with Brazil. Russia started off the tournament with a 3-0 victory over Italy and Brazil, then lost to the United States and China before dispatching with Japan.
Congratulations on the victory. How much does it mean to you guys to have taken the silver medal?
Поздравляем с победой. Насколько важно для вас, для команды, было завоевать серебряную медаль?
Спасибо большое, было очень важно. Мы очень все рады, все-таки второе место. Конечно, первое место было бы намного лучше, но второе тоже хорошо. Мы собрались, хоть это была и пятая игра, было тяжело, но мы выиграли.
Thanks a lot. Of course, it was very important. It's second place. It's not as good as the first, but still, it's a very good accomplishment, and we're glad that we have gathered our strength after a loss to China and won this game.
What next for the team?
Что дальше?
Дальше будем готовиться к Кубку мира. Мы, в принципе, о нем думали всегда, потому что это отбор на Олимпиаду, и постараемся там занять первое-второе место.
Well, the World Cup is coming next, so we have not much time to rest. We have to prepare for the Olympic qualification and try to be first or second at this tournament in Japan.
Congratulations at the World Grand Prix. Well done.
Поздравляем с победой еще раз, молодцы.
Спасибо.
Natalia Goncharova, absolutely the kills leader in this tournament. She put up another 21. I'll get you those totals before we go off the air.
I break down, holding on to my breath, no sound escapes, walking on a straight line through the madness. Everything around me, oh, it fades away. My letting go of my pain. I will reach the end.